Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to talk about class 11th chapter 14, which discuss about breathing and gas exchange. Okay, breathing and gas exchange. So this is the part of respiration. So let us see what is there. In order to survive, one of the most important process is respiration. We have studied there are four life processes: nutrition, respiration, transport and excretion. So one of the most important life process is respiration. Okay, the respiration provides us energy for the various life activities. Whatever activity is performed by our tissues, our organs, our systems in our body itself, as well as whatever function we are performing outside, like standing, walking, moving, jumping, kicking, playing football, running, whatever activities we are doing with the help of our body, all these require energy, and this all energy comes from respiration. So the food which we ate, the food has got energy which was stored by the plants during the process of photosynthesis in the form of chemical energy. So respiration is the process of unlocking that energy and making it available for us for the various biological activity. Okay, so now you see the process of respiration completes in two steps. Okay, first is the physical step and the second is chemical steps. The physical process and chemical process. In this chapter particularly we are studying only about the physical processes. The chemical process we will study in respiration in plant chapter 12. So breathing and gas exchange and transport of gases, these two topics we will be studying in this particular video. Internal respiration or respiration in plants we'll study in the next videos, that is when we'll study about chapter 12. Okay, so out of which the first two steps, that is the breathing and transport of gases, these are physical changes, and in these two changes energy is not liberated, energy is not released, rather energy is spent. Okay, so we have a general idea that respiration is the process in which energy is produced, but the respiration completes in three steps, that is the breathing and gas exchange, second transport of gases, and third is internal respiration. The first two processes they are physical process, and this energy is required. Energy is not produced, but energy need to be produced. So respiratory organs, let us discuss the respiratory organs in the various organisms. Like general body surface, they do not have any specific organ, rather they are performing the gas exchange with the help of their general body, that is all the monorails, all protists, all fungi, all porifers, all coelenterids, all ctenophores and animals, annelids. So these are those animals which do not have any specific organ or place from where the gas exchange will be done. So they are doing their gas exchange only through their general body surface, moist skin. Okay, the next is trachea. Trachea is found in insects. So in the trachea, that is if you see an insect, there are segments. Okay, and in all the segments in the sides there are small pores, and these pores are called spiracles, and they are opening into a tubular network inside, that is called trachea. So they are exchanging gases with the help of tracheal system. Book lungs are found in the arachnids and myriapods. Arachnid include all the scorpions and spiders, whereas the myriapods that include all centipedes and millipedes. Gills is the most common mode of gas exchange, that is found in the crustaceans, mollusks, echinodermids, hemichordates and pisces. Okay, so they comprises a very big group. The largest group is of course insect, but then they are also comprising one of the largest group, that is all the crustaceans which are the part of arthropods, mollusk, okay, which includes all the snails and octopus and jellyfish and all. Then echinodermids, which includes all starfishes and all, hemichordates, balanoglossus and all, and pisces, which includes fish. Okay, so these are the various organs which are breathing through gills. Even amphibian in their larval stages are breathing through gills. So the next is, that is the lungs, moist skin, buccal cavity and the lungs. This is amphibian, but amphibia in their larval stages are breathing through gills. When they become adult, they can breathe through their moist skin, they can breathe through their buccal cavity, and they can breathe through their lungs. So the reason is that the amphibians are very sluggish animal, very slow animals, so they don't require too much of oxygen. So even when they are resting, they can breathe through their moist skin, especially when they are in the hibernation and activation. Okay, the Lungs are the most common excreta or breathing organ in terrestrial animals, those which are living on land, which include amphibians, reptiles, aves, and mammals. These all are land animals. So when they are on land, they breathe through this, and all the plants they breathe through stomata. So these are the name. You must remember the names because these are asked in multiple choice questions and others. Human respiratory system consists of various parts which include the nostrils, nasal passage, then the pharynx, then epiglottis, the trachea, the bronchi, the bronchioles, the alveoli, and the lungs. And the lungs are covered by pleura and the diaphragm. So there are several organs. Let us study one by one about them. The very first thing is nostrils. Nostrils are the opening through which the air enters or given out. Nostrils are just an opening. Take one pair of nostrils in both the nasal openings. Nasal passage, it is such a big passage. Now the question is, when the lungs are lying here, why don't the opening not found here? Why such a long opening is given? So the long opening has several functions. What are the functions? See, it filters the dust particles and the microbes. Here the mucus is there and the hair are there. So these hair and the mucus, they trap the dust particles and microbes present in the nasal passage. The second thing, they detect the odor. Of course, it doesn't have any function at any relation with the respiration, but it is through the respiratory air intake the function is done. The third is it maintains the moisture. Now during dry days in the places like Rajasthan, the places like Gulf countries, places like African continent, several places which are very hot. So the hot air when goes in, which is completely dry, if it enters into the lungs, lungs will be dried within minutes and will die. So in order to prevent the lungs from drying and dying, the moisture which is there, so the when we exhale, both the moisture is there, because when we exhale, whenever food is burned, carbon dioxide and water is given out in the form of moisture, or rather in the form of vapor. So the vapor is trapped here. So the new air which is coming in, this vapor adds to it and maintains the moisture. And the fourth is to maintain the temperature. Now just now I said the hot places, even in the cold places, there are several places in the world over where the temperature is sub-zero, okay? Or 3 degree, 4 degree, 5 degree, or -2, -5, -70 tak temperature hai. So if such cold air or if such hot air is taken into the lungs, both the cases are dangerous. The cold air may freeze our lungs and the lungs may lose its ability of contraction and relaxation, and the hot air, they will dry it up and the cells may damage and the diffusion will not take place. Both the cases are harmful. So when air passes through such a long passage, the temperature, outside temperature and the body temperature, they exchange heat, and the temperature of inhaled air becomes somewhat similar to that of the body temperature. So these are the four functions. Pharynx is the opening of mouth. So here you can see the opening of mouth and the opening of nose, both are opening together. So pharynx helps in the exchange of gases when your nose are clogged, or when you are sometime you breathe through your mouth, okay, whatever. So एक तो ये हो गया, and second क्या है? Second is very important. That is when exhaled air passes over the trachea, it vibrates to produce sound, and the sound is modulated with the help of tongue. Now it is not a function of respiration, but it is performed by the exhaled air, so gases. So we will of course call it, include it in respiration. Next is epiglottis. Here you can see a flap-like structure. So when the food is taken in, its most probability is to enter into the windpipe. Windpipe is here, food pipe is here. I don't know why God has made it like this. The food pipe or windpipe should have been here, the food pipe here. So ये epiglottis की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती. But whatever the reason, the food pipe is there. Maybe because of the larynx position, so that we can produce sound. Okay, had it been behind that, the sound production would have been affected. So in order to prevent the entry of food into the trachea, this flap-like structure is there. So when we are engulfing food, the epiglottis covers the trachea and it doesn't let the food go into the what you call windpipe or trachea. ठीक है. So that is the function of epiglottis. The next is trachea. Now trachea is a long tube which is also called as which is also called as windpipe. ठीक है. So it is connecting the pharynx and the nasal opening to the bronchi, and bronchi will open into bronchiole into the lungs. ठीक है. So ये जो है, this is actually a pipe which is connecting it. Now trachea is very important because we have an ability to turn our neck, ठीक है, twist it. So there is a possibility that it may clog, it may choke. So in order to prevent it from choking or clogging, there are cartilaginous rings found here. ठीक है, cartilaginous rings found here. So trachea has three important things. First is epiglottis, which we already studied. Second, the cartilaginous rings, and third is the larynx. ठीक है, larynx which produce sound. So larynx we already studied. We also studied epiglottis, and the third is C-shaped cartilaginous rings, which is preventing the trachea from collapsing when the air pressure is less in the lung and when we are turning or twisting our neck. ठीक है. So these are the function of cartilaginous rings, and this is connecting to it. So next is bronchi. The trachea divides into two bronchi. One goes in either side, one to left, another to right, and they are also supplied with cartilaginous rings. So they are not very long, but छोटा सा division है. Then next is bronchioles. The bronchi divides into thousands of tiny bronchioles, thousands of tiny branches. You can see how many branches are there. It forms a network. ठीक है. So this branches, each of them will terminate into an alveoli, air sacs. ठीक है. So they are actually helping the air to reach up to the air sac or alveoli, and they are also supported by cartilaginous rings. ठीक है. चलिए हो गया. Now we will talk about alveoli, the most important part of the respiratory system, that is alveoli. These are the actual site where the gases are exchanged between alveolar air and the blood capillaries. Alveolar air and the blood capillaries. Air comes and fills in it, but it is not going into the tissues. So how air from here or oxygen from here will reach to the tissue, that is a very important thing, and that is actually done by the alveoli. So what happens, देखिए, the walls of the alveoli are made up of thin, very thin squamous epithelium. You must have studied about epithelium in class 9th. You must have even studied epithelium about in class 11th. Squamous epithelium are the thinnest, okay, and they are almost rectangular cells. They are so thin that the nucleus is found at the center where it is bulged. ठीक है. तो इतने thin है ये, और one layer के बने हुए. So gases will immediately pass through it. There will be no obstacle. ठीक है. So one layer of alveoli, like one layer of squamous epithelium, and the same way one layer of cells in the capillaries. ठीक है. So in between there is a क्या कहते हैं, tissue or cellular layer, that is called basement layer. So these three layers are separating the one layer of capillaries, one layer of alveoli, and one layer of basement layer. So gases can immediately diffuse from the capillaries. The carbon dioxide can diffuse into alveoli, and oxygen can diffuse from alveoli to carbon into capillaries. So that is the importance. Okay. Second thing क्या है, देखिए, the alveoli are thousands in numbers. So they are in a way increasing the surface area or total body surface area. Suppose I am here 2 मीटर का हूँ मैं, 6 फीट से कुछ ज़्यादा, तो 2 मीटर मान लेता हूँ on average my height. So 2 मीटर हाइट और circumference 1 मान लेते हैं, तो 2 into 1 that is 2 स्क्वायर मीटर मेरा बॉडी का सरफेस एरिया हो गया रफली. ठीक है. बट alveoli are making it to 100 square meter, that is 50 times greater than the body surface. How is it possible? Because they are tiny bags are there. So they are increasing the surface area, and when the surface area is increased, the diffusion can take place more easily. So that is how it is supporting diffusion and gas exchange. Third function क्या है, देखिए, the alveoli are supported by a rich network of blood capillaries. ठीक है. Alveoli is surrounded by a rich network of blood capillaries. So the gases can immediately diffuse from the alveolar air into the blood capillaries. Carbon dioxide from capillaries immediately into alveolar air. So this exchange can be performed instantly. ठीक है. And fourth thing is that is air is staying in the alveoli for 2 to 5 seconds. ठीक है, सपोज वी आर ब्रीदिंग 12 टाइम्स इन मिनट, दैट मीन्स करीब 5 सेकेंड का टाइम मिल रहा है हवा को इन द एल्वेलाई. 5 सेकेंड्स एल्वेलाई एयर इज स्टेइंग इन द एल्वेलाई. दैट इज क्वाइट गुड टाइम फॉर एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेज. ऑल दिस रीजंस आर देयर वेयर द गैसेज आर नॉट स्टेइंग देयर. ठीक है, बट इन एल्वेलाई एयर इज स्टेइंग. So these are the 4 important reasons for which the alveoli are the most suitable place for the exchange of gases. Next is lungs. There are 2 lungs or 1 pair of lungs, one in either side. Lungs appear balloon-like, but they are not balloon-like because of the presence of thousands of tiny air sacs. They are called alveoli. So these are actually spongy structures. ठीक है, lungs are spongy structure and they are made up of epithelium. Lungs are covered by lungs are covered by a jacket of 2 membranes. They are called pleura. So pleura is there, and between pleura there is a fluid called pleural fluid. So they are protecting the lungs from all the frictions. ठीक है, ये heart रहा है यहाँ पे, and the lungs are here. Heart is also beating. Lungs are contracting, relaxing. They are applying friction on one another, and these layers, that the pleura and the pleural fluid, they are protecting the lungs from getting damaged by this friction. Okay, एक दिन 2 दिन के लिए थोड़ी. Lungs are there right from before our birth. They are formed. Of course they are not working there. First when we are born and first time when we cry, that is the time the lungs start working. Okay, lungs will definitely work in air, and when we are in mother's womb, we were surrounded, we were in actually placental fluid, amniotic fluid. So then we are not using our lungs. Lungs are started using only after we were born in the air. Okay, from then till the death time. So there are people who are living for 115 years, 118 years. Some are living for 100 years, 80 years, 70 years तो कॉमन है. ठीक है, 70 साल तक उसको काम करना है. 70 साल into number of hours, into number of minutes, into number of heartbeats or number of contraction relaxation. So you can see how many times you must have breath. ठीक है, how many times our lungs must have contracted. So how much friction, कितनी बार हाथ तो 10 बार ऐसा हाथ लगाते हैं हाथ गर्म हो जाता है. ठीक है, तो ये तक how much damage it would have caused if pleural membrane and pleural fluid have been not been there. So it had not been there. आप जब मारते हैं यहाँ पे, कोई बॉक्सिंग खेलता है, ठीक है, यू हिट नंबर ऑफ टाइम, नो प्रॉब्लम. वाई? बिकॉज द प्लूरल फ्लूइड विल एब्जॉर्ब ऑल द जर्क्स. ठीक है, तो ये शॉक्स एंड जर्क्स को भी एब्जॉर्ब कर लेता है. नेक्स्ट क्या है, लंग्स आर ऑल्सो प्रोटेक्टेड बाय स्टर्नम, फ्लैट बोन हियर. देयर इज अ फ्लैट बोन हियर दैट इज कॉल्ड स्टर्नम. देन इन द साइड्स देयर आर रिब्स. ठीक है, एंड मतलब रिब्स यहीं से शुरू होकर के यहाँ तक आती है, तो रिब्स आर देयर एंड बिहाइंड द वर्टिब्रल कॉलम and here the shoulder bones are there. ठीक है, so all these are forming a cage like structure and not letting the lungs to be directly come in contact with the any external force. ठीक है, so they are protecting the lungs from all type of shocks and jerks. A muscular diaphragm, here a muscular diaphragm is there which is found just beneath the lungs, and it is the diaphragm which will be helping in breathing. ठीक है, तो जो ब्रीदिंग का काम है वो उसी से होगा. चलिए पढ़ते हैं आगे. ब्रीदिंग कैसे होता है ब्रीदिंग? सो सी, दिस इज द डायग्राम. व्हेन द डायफ्राम कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स एंड मूव्स डाउन and there are set of muscles which are found between the ribs. When the intercostal muscles contract, the ribs rises up. So intercostal muscles contract, ribs rises up. Diaphragm contracts, it moves down. So as a result, what will happen? The volume of the chest cavity increases. You all might have seen syringes or piston, पिचकारी. पिचकारी देखा होगा ना, तो पिचकारी में क्या है, as we pull the piston out, so what happens? The volume of the piston is increasing. As the volume increases, the air pressure in the piston in the cylinder decreases. वो जो पिचकारी है, air pressure decreases. And since it is connected to the atmosphere directly, there is no nozzle, there is no cock, or there is no stopper there. So the immediately air will move from a region of higher pressure to the lower pressure. जब वॉल्यूम कम बढ़ जाता है तो एयर प्रेशर डिक्रीज हो जाता है. वॉल्यूम इज डायरेक्ट इन्वर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द volume is inversely proportional to V is inversely proportional to P. ठीक है. So when the volume increases, pressure decreases, or you can write another way, pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So this is the पिचकारी or syringe, whatever you say, and this is the piston. Now no sooner you will you will pull the piston out. No sooner you pull the piston out, so what happens? The volume is increased. So the volume is increased. Here there is more volume. So V is greater. Volume is greater. And as the volume increases, the pressure decreases. So here the pressure is less. Here the pressure is more. Air pressure is more. And यहाँ पे क्या है? Air pressure is less. So when the two systems are connected through a system without any check, so there is a tendency the things will always try to maintain. Air pressure वो अपने आप से maintain हो जाएगा. Air will always rush from a region of higher pressure to lower pressure. आप इसको रोक नहीं सकते. ठीक है. तो आप ये देखिए, whenever you might have seen the air pillow, you might have seen this polythene खाली कर देते हैं अपन इसको पूरा पिचका के, फिर भी जैसे हम इसको खोलेंगे अपने आप से देयर विल बी सम एयर इन इट. ठीक है, देख लीजिए, ऑटोमेटिकली सम एयर. व्हाई? बिकॉज व्हेन द टू सिस्टम्स आर कनेक्टेड, सो हियर देयर इज मोर प्रेशर, हियर देयर इज लेस प्रेशर, तो ऑटोमेटिकली एयर विल फिल इन इट. ये हमेशा का सिस्टम है. व्हेन एयर पिलो जो होता है उसको आप पूरा खाली कर दीजिए, नोज़ल खोलेंगे तो इमीडिएटली एयर विल रन इन इट. द many other such examples you might have seen. तो इन चीज़ों को पूरी तरह से खाली करने के लिए आपको ऐसा रोल करके स्क्वीज़ करना पड़ेगा. If you will not squeeze it, the pressure will not be maintained. That is, it will not be completely emptied. So यही सिस्टम यहाँ पे काम कर रहा है. So when the diaphragm moves downward, so the volume increases. यहाँ का वॉल्यूम बढ़ गया. As the volume increases, इसका कलर ले लेते हैं जो यहाँ नहीं है. As the volume increases here, so क्या होगा? Air pressure falls, and here air pressure is more. So in order to balance the air pressure, the air fills in it. देखिए air भर गई. This is called inhalation. So steps क्या हुए? Inhalation के steps क्या हुए? देखिए, first the filling of air into air, since the lungs are placed in the chest cavity where it is supported by the bones all sides, and only diaphragm is there which can move, and the intercostal muscles. ठीक है. Inhalation and exhalation is performed with the change in the volume by diaphragm. तो देखते हैं inhalation में क्या हो रहा है. First the diaphragm contracts and it moves down. Intercostal muscle contract and it rises up. ठीक है. Intercostal muscles contract and ribs rises up. Both of these are increasing the volume. है ना? Volume of the chest cavity increases. Air pressure in this falls, and to maintain the air pressure, the air fills into the lungs. ठीक है? 5 step. Diaphragm and intercostal muscles contract. Volume of chest cavity increases. Air pressure decreases, and air fills into the lungs. And exhalation में just इसका उल्टा हो जाएगा. The diaphragm returns back to original place. Intercostal muscles return back to their original place. The volume decreases, air pressure increases, and air rushes out. ठीक है. तो breathing is actually performed by contraction and relaxation of diaphragm, not by the alveolar muscles. Lungs do not have muscles. हम इसका argument देंगे. Respiratory volume पढ़ते हैं अभी. ठीक है. आर्ग्यूमेंट देते हैं कि वाई आर लंग्स नॉट मेड अप ऑफ मसल्स. हैड द लंग्स मेड अप ऑफ मसल्स तो वो खुद ही कॉन्ट्रैक्ट रिलैक्स हो जाते हैं. सो अगर वो खुद कॉन्ट्रैक्ट रिलैक्स हो जाते हैं, मसल्स के बने होते हैं, तो क्या होता है? मसल्स वुड हैव बीन हैविंग थिक वॉल्स. वी विल हैव दिस इन सम ऑफ द नोट्स इन अहेड. देखते हैं यहाँ पे रेस्पिरेटरी वॉल्यूम एंड कैपेसिटीज़. ये रेस्पिरेशन 11th क्लास का नया टॉपिक है, ये आपने अभी तक नहीं पढ़ा, ठीक है। वो जो पहले वाला था वो सम ऑफ दैट समरी यू माइट हैव स्टडीड इन क्लास 10th। रेस्पिरेटरी वॉल्यूम, तो ये हम कितना हवा ले सकते हैं लंग्स के अंदर। देखिए फर्स्ट इज टाइडल वॉल्यूम, विदाउट एनी कॉन्शियसनेस वट एवर एयर इज गोइंग इन एंड कमिंग आउट, जहाँ आप कोई फोर्स नहीं लगा रहे, वेयर नो एक्सटर्नल फोर्स इज अप्लाइड, वेयर यू आर नॉट ब्रीदिंग इन फोर्सफुली, दैट एयर, ठीक है, द अमाउंट ऑफ एयर वी टेक एंड गिव आउट ड्यूरिंग अ नॉर्मल, दैट इज द पैसिव इनहेलेशन, द वॉल्यूम इज अबाउट 500 ml पर ब्रीथ। सो इन अ मिनट सपोज यू आर ब्रीदिंग 12 टाइम्स टू 16 टाइम्स, तो आप टोटल कितना हवा लेंगे, 12 इंटू 500 दैट इज 6000, और 16 इंटू 500 दैट इज 8000। इतना ही हवा आप लेते हैं 1 मिनट के अंदर, दैट इज़ क्वाइट सफिशिएंट फॉर योर सर्वाइवल, ठीक है, नो मैटर हाउ बिग द बॉडी इज़ और हाउ स्मॉल द बॉडी इज़, ठीक है। स्मॉलर लोग, चिल्ड्रन जो है, दे ब्रीथ फास्टर बिकॉज देयर मेटाबॉलिक एक्टिविटीज आर मोर, बिकॉज दे आर इन द स्टेज ऑफ ग्रोथ, ठीक है। ड्यूरिंग विंटर्स यू ब्रीथ मोर because your body need more energy to maintain the body temperature. During exercise you need more energy, so you breathe more, ठीक है। During fear you breathe more because your body you require more energy. Respiratory reserve volume, ये देखिए इसके बाद भी आपके लंग्स के अंदर खूब सारी, मतलब your lungs are capable of taking more air but it is not taking, it has kept reserve. Why? Because there is no need. What you'll do so with so much of air? So normal breathing is tidal breathing. You can survive very well when you are not doing anything in particular. That is, you are sitting or resting, watching TV, or lying down on the bed, or even thinking ऐसे ही बैठे बैठे. But you are not running, you are not jumping, you are not walking, you are not doing any activity, you are not climbing, you are not, ठीक है, इवन यू आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग इन पर्टिकुलर, योर ब्रीदिंग टाइडल ब्रीदिंग से काम चल जाता। बट व्हेन वी आर रनिंग, व्हेन वी आर दिसिंग, तो यू टेक ए लॉन्ग ब्रीथ। देखिए अभी मैं लेके बताता, दिस इज द फोर्सफुल ब्रीथ इन। सो द फोर्सफुल ब्रीथ इन कैन टेक एज मच एज 2500 to 3000 milliliter ऑफ एयर, ठीक है। दिस इज द रिजर्व वॉल्यूम ऑफ एयर विच वी कैन फोर्सफुली इनहेल। नॉर्मली वी आर नॉट इनहेलिंग बट फोर्सफुली वी कैन टेक इट, ठीक है। ड्यूरिंग ए स्ट्रेसफुल एक्टिविटीज, जो भी हम कोई भी हैवी एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं, भाग रहे होंगे, दौड़ रहे होंगे, योगा कर रहे होंगे, एक्सरसाइज कर रहे होंगे, जिम में होंगे, रनिंग कर रहे होंगे, देन वी रिक्वायर मोर एनर्जी, देन वी कैन यूज दिस मच। सो दिस इज अ रिजर्व, लाइक यू कैन बट यू आर नॉट यूजिंग, तो दैट इज कॉल्ड रिजर्व। Next is expiratory reserve volume. Normal tidal, मतलब you are normally breathing it. Now अभी like when I am teaching, I am not doing anything in particular like running or, तो मैं शायद ज़्यादा 15 or 16 time I may be breathing. So that is a normal tidal breathing. Tidal breath 500 giving, 500 taken in, 500 given out. But even after a normal tidal breathe out, जैसे आप you just look at me. By applying force I can push out some air, that is called expiratory reserve. मतलब this was there which could have been given out but we are not giving out, ठीक है। Even after a normal exhalation, passive exhalation, there is about 1000 to 1100 milliliter air which we could have forcefully given out. That means this is there but we are not pushing it out, ठीक है। So this is called expiratory reserve volume, ERV। कितना है 1000 to 1100, ये कितना है 2500 to 3000। You remember these two things only you have to remember, that is what is the volume, what is the situation and how much is the quantity. Next क्या है देखिए, residual volume, even with your whole might। देखिए मैं कितना भी हवा में बाहर निकाल दूँ, my lungs will never be completely empty. Why? बट सेम पॉलीथीन वाला सिस्टम मैंने बताया अभी आपको। इवन यू एम्प्टी द पॉलीथीन, सामान खाली कर दिया एंड यू जस्ट लीव इट, देर इज स्टिल सम एयर इन दिस। यू सी एनीथिंग, एनी बैग और एनी पाउच और एनीथिंग वॉट एवर यू गॉट, सो बिकॉज द टू सिस्टम्स आर कनेक्टेड, आई कैन सी अनदर पॉलीथीन हियर। सी इसके अंदर अभी एयर है, क्यों है भाई, क्यों है ये? अगर इफ़ आई हैव टू एम्प्टी इट, आई हैव टू स्क्वीज इट, ठीक है। तो ये स्क्वीज़ करने के बाद अब ठीक है, ये प्लास्टिक थोड़ा भारी होगा, थोड़ा टाइट होगा, सो दैट इज़ अ डिफरेंट थिंग, अदरवाइज इट ऑलवेज हैव सम एयर इन इट। तो ये जो एयर है इसको हम कहेंगे रेसिडुअल। तो एल्वियोलाई ऑलवेज है सम अमाउंट ऑफ एयर लेफ्ट इन इट। सो ऑल द एल्वियोलाई, देयर आर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ एल्वियोलाई आर देयर, सबके अंदर थोड़ी थोड़ी हवा बची होगी, तो वो टोटल कितना वॉल्यूम बना रहा होगा रेसिडुअल एल्वियो? इट इज़ अगेन 1100 to 1200 milliliter. Now see the understand the importance of this residual and that. ये क्या काम आ रहे हैं कि देखिए both ERV and RV, ERV क्या है? एक्सपिरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम, और RV क्या है? रेसिडुअल वॉल्यूम। दोनों ये वो हवा है when we are given out air and before we are inhaling there is a time, there is a lapse. During that time also blood is coming into the lungs. So that time lungs will not be able to carry any oxygen because there is no air. This air is facilitating the supply of air even during that time. Okay? Suppose a bird is flying. There are two type of birds. एक धीरे धीरे उड़ते रहते हैं like eagles, swift and all. They are long distance birds. There are other birds which fly very rapidly. ठीक है? But they fly only for short distance. So before first breathe out and the second inhalation, अगर वहाँ ऑक्सीजन नहीं होगा तो बर्ड तो गिर जाएगी नीचे. They will not have oxygen supply. So this is ensuring that oxygen supply is continued even when the exhalation is done and new inhalation is not done. और फिर हम तो गेम भी खेल लेते हैं ना, हम तो रोक के बैठ जाते हैं. Some people are not breathing for 2 minutes, some for 3 minutes, some are going in dubki in the water, no, swimming pool, and they are not breathing during that time. So this is the air which is helping you to survive. ठीक है, ओके, ये तो हो गया रेस्पिरेशन वॉल्यूम हो गया. ठीक है, व्हेनेवर टू और मोर वॉल्यूम्स आर कंबाइंड टुगेदर तो उसको हम कहेंगे कैपेसिटी. ठीक है, तो दिस आर रेस्पिरेटरी कैपेसिटी. तो इंस्पिरेटरी कैपेसिटी क्या हो गया? इंस्पिरेटरी कैपेसिटी one is tidal volume and second is inspiratory reserve volume. They both are combined, that is the amount of air we can take in. So इसको कहेंगे inspiratory capacity. The total amount of air we can take into the lungs with all our might, this is inspiratory capacity, which include tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume. Tidal volume is around 500, हम upper limit लिया 500 plus 3000, so this total volume is 3500. ठीक है, ऐसे रहेंगे. एक्सपिरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम, एक्सपिरेटरी रिजर्व वॉल्यूम क्या है? द अमाउंट ऑफ एयर विच वी कैन गिव आउट फोर्सफुली, कितना भी ताकत लगा के. तो क्या जाएंगे? टाइडल वॉल्यूम का 500 ml एंड ERV का 1100 ml. ठीक है, तो एक्सपिरेटरी कैपेसिटी क्या है? दैट इज TV का टाइडल वॉल्यूम 500 एंड ERV दैट इज 1100. ठीक है, सो टोटल इज अराउंड 1600 ml. अपर साइड हम ले रहे हैं. ठीक है, so whenever two or more respiratory volumes are taken together, it is ये तो definition है. So functional reserve capacity, even you are thrown out air during tidal volume, उसके बाद भी लंग्स में कुछ एयर है. वो कौन सी एयर है? अभी अपन ने पढ़ा था. कौन सा है? देखिए, द ERV एंड RV. ठीक है, फंक्शनल रिजर्व कैपेसिटी क्या है? ERV अराउंड 1100, RV दैट इज 1200, दैट इज 2300 milliliter. सो ये वो एयर है विच इज़ देयर इन द लंग्स विच आर जनरली नॉट गिवन आउट, दैट विल बी यूज. फंक्शनल है ये कब काम आ रहा है? व्हेन वन एक्सलेशन इज डन एंड नेक्स्ट इनहेलेशन इज स्टिल अवेटेड. ओके, देन है वाइटल कैपेसिटी. विथ ऑल योर फोर्स हाउ मच एयर यू कैन टेक इन टू द लंग्स, that is called vital capacity. So what it is? Tidal volume plus ERV plus IRV plus residual volume. ठीक है, तो इनको सबको मिला लेते हैं. देखिए, इट इंक्लूड वॉल्यूम, VC vital capacity, TV, IRV एंड ERV. सो ये कितने हो गए? टोटल 4600 milliliter. And the last is lung capacity. How much air you can fill into the lungs or how much air can be there in the lungs. तो इसमें सब कुछ आ गया. टाइडल वॉल्यूम 500 ml, IRV 3000 milliliter, then ERV which is about 1100, RV which is about 1200, है ना, और रेसिडुअल वॉल्यूम विच इज़ अगेन 1200. तो ये सारा मिला करके देख लीजिए. तो लंग कैपेसिटी इज TV 500, IRV 3000, ERV 1100, RV 1200. सो द टोटल वॉल्यूम जो है वो कितना हो गया 5800 मिलीलीटर और विच इज़ नियरली 6 लीटर. Is there any significance of all these volumes? Yes, it is the volume which is supplying oxygen. So you might have seen the Gorkhas which are living in the Himalaya, Nepalis जो होते हैं ना, they are living in the higher altitudes. So there the oxygen is less. So they, during the course of their evolution, their chest size is more. The chest size is more. So what happened? When they come in the plains, they are getting enough of oxygen, so they don't get tired. So Gorkha regiment is one of the best regiment felt in the army, because these are the people we are not tired. And there are a number of people who are keeping Gorkhas as a servant. They are giving very good result. Why? Because वो तो थकते ही नहीं, उनके अंदर वॉल्यूम काफ़ी है. ठीक है. Whenever we are going to selection for the sports or selection into police or selection into what you call NCC or selection in any of these type of fields where the physical activity is more, so chest का वॉल्यूम लेते हैं, नॉर्मल वॉल्यूम एंड चेस्ट फुल सा कितना आपका चल. तो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? सो दिस एक्चुअली इज सिग्निफाइज दैट हाउ मच एयर यू आर टेकिंग इन. दैट मीन्स how much, what is the stamina, how much air you can take in. So इससे क्या होगा, you will come to know कि भाई आप कितना काम कर सकेंगे, आप थकेंगे नहीं, कितने टाइम तक काम कर सकेंगे. So why is the wall of alveoli not made up of muscles? So I was just telling you why the walls of muscles are not made up, walls of alveoli not made up of muscles but it is made up of epithelium. तो इसका हम देखते हैं. there are several reasons. ठीक है. पहला क्या, मसल्स वुड हैव बीन कंज्यूम्ड अ लॉट ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. अगर एल्वेओलाई इटसेल्फ वुड हैव मेड अप ऑफ मसल्स, तो खुद ही खा जाते काफ़ी सारा ऑक्सीजन, तो लेके क्या जाते. व्हाट हाउ मोस्ट ऑफ द ऑक्सीजन दे वुड हैव कंज्यूम फॉर देयर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन एंड रिलैक्सेशन ओनली. सो देन हाउ मच ऑक्सीजन दे वुड हैव पास टू द ब्लड एंड हाउ मच ऑक्सीजन द अदर टिश्यूज वुड हैव गॉट. तो पहला रीज़न. रीज़न नंबर 2, मसल्स आर थिक. The walls of the muscles are thick, whereas the epithelium is very thin. So through the epithelium gases can immediately pass, but the thick walls, the muscles, the gases would have not diffused as effectively जैसे it is passing through alveoli. And the third reason is that the muscles, had the alveoli made up of muscles, when the muscles contract, the alveoli would have completely emptied, so there would have no ERV and no RV left in the lungs. So that means during the one inhalation and next exhalation there would have no air left in the lungs, and the efficiency or activity, heavy activities जो है that would have been heavily affected, probably would have not been survived. ठीक है. So that's all in this video. इसमें हमने all the volumes and the capacities को पढ़ लिया. Next we'll study about the transport of gases and then we'll study ठीक है ट्रांसपोर्ट. द अदर पार्ट विल स्टडी इन द नेक्स्ट वीडियो. सो दैट्स ऑल इन दिस वीडियो. प्लीज़ गिव अ थम्स अप. यू कैन दे सकते हैं. इसमें क्या है, व्हाट यू हैव टू नो पे, यू डोंट हैव टू पे एनीथिंग फॉर दैट. तो नीचे लिख रहे हैं थम्स अप दे दो या क्या है. शेयर द लिंक विथ ऑल अदर्स. नो, आई एम नॉट चार्जिंग एनीथिंग, नीदर आई विल चार्ज एनी डे. ये तो वीडियो हमेशा फ्री रहेगी. एजुकेशन शुड बी फ्री. वो लूट रहे हैं ना इतने प्राइवेट स्कूल वाले, अभी आपको और ज़्यादा लूटने की मुझे क्या ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. ठीक है. सो शेयर द लिंक्स विथ ऑल अदर्स वो आर हुम यू थिंक ये उसके भी काम आ सकता है. जनरली स्टडीज़ में लोग बाग कम्पीट करते, बोले यार ये उसको नहीं पता पड़ना चाहिए, नहीं तो उसको, बट नो वे, इट्स अ फ्री. प्लीज़ शेयर इट विद अदर्स. Subscribe the channel if you are new and press the bell icon so that you will keep getting the information about new videos. So that's all in this. Please give a thumbs up and you can ask your doubts if you got any and your doubts will be definitely answered. Video थोड़ी लंबी होती है but then you get all the written notes here. So then you can pause the video, you can note it down if you want to, you can learn it, you can put the earphone and just keep doing anything, you will be able to hear everything. So these things will passively enter in your brain. So you got advantage. ठीक है. हम हर टाइम किताब के अंदर बैठ करके पढ़ नहीं सकते हैं, बट रिमेंबर रीडिंग एंड रीडिंग लाउड इज़ द बेस्ट सॉल्यूशन. ठीक है। तो नोट्स आपने बना लिए तो आपका सारे सेंसेस इन्वॉल्व हो रहे हैं, आपका फिंगर, आपकी आंखें, आपका ब्रेन, ठीक है। इफ़ यू आर रीडिंग अगेन यू आर इन्वॉल्व, लाउडली आर सेइंग यू आर इन्वॉल्व। और अगर ये वीडियो देख रहे हैं और उसको लिख रहे हैं तो आपके सारे सेंसेस काम आ जाएंगे। सो इन्वॉल्विंग मोर सेंसेस यू विल remember it better. So that's all in this video children. Your doubts are welcome, any number of doubts you can ask, ठीक है। So that's all, thank you, good day.